it up, let it roll. Stars and stripes in my soul. Steel toes on, boots in the gravel. Heartland truth on every channel. Open Bible, flag on the wall. We say what we believe when we don't talk at all. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. We back the badge, we guard the border. We love our guns and law and order. They try to shame every word we say, but we don't bow down, we just press play. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the bell. Hey, we won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell.
Are you ready? Good morning, Patriots. Thanks so much for being with us. It is Strictly Speaking Unfiltered. And I don't know about you, but I am freaking ready for battle. What else can I say about it? It's a battle. Did I mention it's a civil war? Did I mention that? That it's coming, that there's only two sides to a civil war? And we really, really need to choose wisely. And I think everybody in this room, watching on this channel, and anybody who watches it later today, I think everybody here knows which side they're on. But there are a whole lot of people that have not yet apparently made that choice. I think there are a whole lot of middle ground, moderates, centrists, and so on and so forth. They're going to have to decide. It is a civil freaking war. What do we see in war? We see violence. What do we see in war? We see fights. What do we see in war? We see killings. What do we see in war? We see true hand-to-hand combat. And I don't know about you, but I say I'm ready for that combat. And you better be too. What am I talking about? Am I just flapping my gums to start a show? No, you got to understand. This is legitimate. This is real. These are the threats, and they're not even hiding it anymore. I'm going to share with you some of the most disgusting and radical things that I have seen over the course of, for a really very long time. But specifically, threats that are being made against the American people. Threats are being made against people who support law, order, and law enforcement. That's the key. It's one thing to say you support law and order. It's another thing to say you support law enforcement. Do you really support law enforcement? Not if you're calling. It's not if you're calling for violent things to happen, but not if you are not condemning those violent things. That's even worse. I'm going to start out with this one. Actually, let me start out by saying good morning. I'm like so fired up and ready to go, and I only have 2 hours to get all of this stuff in. In fact, I really only have an hour to get all this stuff in. I really do, because the 8 o'clock hour is filled. At 8 o'clock, I've got an interview scheduled with somebody you don't know yet. You know him. You know of him. He's very well known. He's been in media for a very long time in a few different circles. He's running for Congress in Ohio's 13th congressional district, the one held by Amelia Sykes. And he's making his announcement today. He's got a launch party for his campaign tonight. And he's agreed to come on with me exclusively at 8 o'clock this morning to talk about this campaign. So anybody who's from, District 13, if you are a part of that, you're going to want to hear this, because you probably figured you're stuck. You're stuck with Sykes, because when the district maps were redrawn, it's one of the reasons why a lot of people had a problem with Vivek Ramaswamy's selection of Rob McCauley as his lieutenant governor candidate, because Rob McCauley was the guy who led the districts and drew them in a way that were well, let's just say not reflective of Ohio's red voting record over the course of the last several years, really the last decade or so or more. Because we should be very clearly and directly, we should be a massive, overwhelming favorite in just about all of the districts. And it was the case in 13. We were a +2 or +3 to beat Sykes, depending on the candidate. They redrew the district and made it a +2 Democrat district, which is what drove Kevin Coughlin out of the race. And I thought we got nobody really running down there in that race, but now we do, and we're going to talk to him. I know who he is, and I'm looking forward to the chat. You don't, and I'm not supposed to spoil that until the time comes. So at 8 o'clock, we're going to talk to a new GOP candidate in the primary for District 13. And then at 8:30, for the first time in a couple of weeks, we get a shot at talking to the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Congressman Jim Jordan. They are very, very busy in judiciary and oversight, which is the other committee on which Jim Jordan sits. So we're going to talk to him coming up at 8:30. So back-to-back interviews in hour number 2, which means I've got a lot to do in this hour. So let me have a peek. Big Jake says, yeah, I can see you. Rum JC says, seen and heard. Thank you, guys. I asked them a couple of minutes ago before we started on. Let me know if you can see me and hear me. And so the chatters are up and at it early this morning. Brian and CAD, and KC John and Macromia. I love some of these handles you guys come up with. I am Roz. Hi, Roz. You are. SRL. Marty Ford, Lisa, Uncle Odie, Yo Jimbo, Politically Incorrect, Mechanic. My guy Charlie, who sent me something yesterday that I won't share because he doesn't want me to, but I asked him if he was going to post it. Charlie took some matters into his own hands yesterday, which was just all kind of awesome. That's Charlie. If you know Charlie, that's Charlie. He sent me a video of him taking matters into his own hands, and it was awesome. I said, "Are you going to post it?" He said, "Nah, you don't want people to get you don't want to get in trouble with some people over it." But he did a good thing. Anyway, so Charlie, you just give me the word and I'll share it. I'll put it up here. Joanne, good morning. Mike, I see Mike in the house. Big Jake, I already said Big Jake. Di Winans, Nawak, BBJ. Again, I don't know how to say some of those. These handles are very unique. Buckeye Therese, good morning. Nana Sherry, good morning. Mega Marie, good morning. Is it Mega Marie or is it? Oh, it's Meg Marie. Meg, like the name. I was about to say, shouldn't that say Maga Marie? Might be a little bit more appropriate. Jan, good morning. Thanks, everybody, for being in. Okay, and again, if you're watching us, by the way, right now on YouTube, and our YouTube channel has grown. It's weird. It just kind of exploded in large part because I shared the Rocky video, the slugger, Zach X. I shared that over there, and it's gotten over 1.5 million views. People like the Rocky. You can see that video on 1,000 different accounts. But people liked it and started following me a ton over on YouTube. So we're broadcasting the whole show on YouTube as well as Rumble. But I will tell the folks watching on YouTube right now, same story. The chat activity is in the Rumble room. So if you want to migrate over and watch on Rumble, this is where we want to grow our numbers bigger. We got over 2,100 followers on YouTube in very, very short order. And we've got about 1.3, 1.4 here in the Rumble side. And again, the only way it grows, the routine, the only way it grows is we've got to have engagement. Right now, we got to get more viewers, more clicks, more likes, more comments in the comment section, not just the chat, but in the comment section. We got to get more people subscribed to the channel. We do that, then we'll grow here the way we are over on the YouTube side. But this is where the chat action is. This is where I engage, as well as, of course, on locals. And I want everybody watching here, live today to make sure that you become a community member, a locals community member, strictly speaking, unfiltered, and become an unfiltered insider. Now, to the matter at hand. And by the way, please, if you're watching on the Rumble side, don't forget about the Rumble Rants button at the bottom. Certainly love and appreciate any support you can give so that we can keep this thing going. We've got a lot of work to do. All right, I want to dive into it now. As I mentioned, the Civil War. All right. We know that Islam, generally speaking, Islam is violent. It's a violent culture. It's not a religion. Islam is how do we want to describe it? Islam is a political, ideological movement. hell-bent on world domination and the castigation of everyone who is an infidel under the boot heel of Sharia law. You will either die or you will suffer under Sharia law. It's just that simple. That is the goal. And I say that in order to introduce this, this particular part of the story. That's Islam in general. And by the way, speaking of Islam, tonight I'm going to be recording an interview, which is going to be our first local insiders exclusive only that we have. And again, we're going to be doing interviews that are solely for the locals insiders. Okay. Maybe at a later point in time, I will share those and put those on the Rumble feed for all to see. And for the locals who are non-paid supporters on the locals channel. And that's where I really need you to be. An unfiltered insider is a paid supporter. For $10 a month of support, you can get access to everything I'm talking about right now. And thing number one is going to be an interview that I do tonight with Brigitte Gabriel. Brigitte Gabriel, of course, is the founder of Act for America. She has been warning, exposing, debating, fighting against radical Islam. She's Lebanese by birth, and she knows the Middle East, and she knows Islam as well as anybody, I think, I don't know, in America today, maybe worldwide. And she is so unafraid to tell the truth. She is so unafraid to tell the truth about the Muslim Brotherhood, about CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, about Mamdani, about the Somali Muslims like Ilhan Omar and those who are ripping off this country to the tune of billions and billions of dollars a year. I'm telling you, she is unapologetic and unafraid and amazing. And she will be on with me. I'll be recording with her tonight at 7 p.m. And I'm going to upload that to locals exclusively immediately after. All right. So that'll be an exclusive for the local unfiltered insiders. If you're a paid supporter, you will get access to that before I do anything else with it. And you're going to want to see it, and you're going to want to hear it, and you're going to want to share it, and that's fine. But that's tonight, Brigitte Gabriel, speaking of radical Islam. Okay, to the point at hand now. This is one of many things that I want to share with you right now that are just beyond disturbing and beyond disgusting. And I might have to enlarge that a little bit for you. See if we can bring it up a little bit bigger on the screen. This is, as you can read in the post, or hopefully you can read it. Again, let me try to bring it a little bit bigger here. This is an imam. This is a Muslim imam, which is an Islamic cleric. It's kind of like I don't even want to compare it to another religion's leaders. But this imam is telling his followers, this is what I meant by the Civil War part, to arm themselves and even fight to the death if they believe law enforcement is being practiced anywhere in and around, I suppose, Tulsa or around America. And as the Twitter account holder there, Snarkio, whoever that is, says, this isn't faith or free speech. It's reckless incitement that puts the public at risk. He's correct. Look at the actual screenshot here of this radical. Imam Karim Salim Abdullah. Facts. If Border Patrol, ICE, or anyone else for that matter tries to, quote, illegally kidnap you, end quote, and take you somewhere and you're armed, shoot them. Period. Alhamdulillah, whatever the hell that radical crap is. Now, I should point out that if you are being kidnapped legitimately and you're a real person and you're an American citizen and you are being kidnapped by somebody, yeah, I would violently resist too. That's not what this is. They're calling lawful arrests and detention of illegal aliens, and in particular, those with criminal records or those with final orders of deportation, those with convictions in other places. These people are the worst first that Tom Homan is always talking about. We're going after the worst first. Christy Nome is always talking about. Todd Lyons, everybody who's talking about this is talking about the worst first. When you arrest and detain these people, they're the ones saying that they're being disappeared. They're saying that they're being kidnapped and sent, as you can see, sent somewhere where they don't want to be. They're calling that kidnapping. So basically they're saying to targets of ICE and Border Patrol, shoot them when they come for you. Don't go out quietly. Shoot them. All right? A little bit more direct. I completely agree with this sentiment. Arm yourselves and be prepared to defend yourself and loved ones, even if it costs you your life. Fight back and defend yourselves. Allahu Akbar. And that was in response to another thing saying Black people should arm themselves and violently resist the law. Everybody needs to get armed and resist any illegal arrest or detainment of American citizens by ICE and Border Patrol. Let me clarify what that means too. This is an imam. This is the leader of a quote unquote religious organization of his particular mosque. When is the last time you saw a Catholic priest or a Christian minister or pastor tell the flock, arm up and shoot people, shoot law enforcement agents who are trying to practice law enforcement? I've never seen such a thing. But then again, our religions and all other world religions, quite frankly, outside of Islam, don't believe in committing violence against their enemies. Just point of clarification. So the point here, resist any illegal arrest or detainment. Do you know what detainment means? You can detain somebody. A law enforcement officer can detain you at a traffic stop by telling you, no, you're not free to go until I see some identification, proof of insurance, etc. You're being detained. They're saying, and this is why the language matters, if you are detained by somebody asking you for your identification, what they like to classify is as if you are asked for your papers, that's racist. That's illegal to ask for your papers. Every time you encounter law enforcement, you have to show your quote unquote papers. It's called your ID. And if they're trying to catch somebody, and while in the course of trying to catch somebody, specifically, some of the worst first individuals, like the Minnesota agent who rolled up on some of the lunatic protesters and said, we're trying to catch a child molester here. This is the person you guys are defending and protecting. It's a child molester. And he shook his head and said, unbelievable. That's who you're defending and protecting. So if in the course of going after the child molester, the murderer, the drug trafficker, the human trafficker, the cartel member, the terrorist, if in the course of going after them, they ask you for your identification because they're trying to solve something here, you show them peacefully and say, good luck, officer, go get him. They're saying you're being detained now and you are in danger of being kidnapped. Shoot him. Shoot that officer that's asking you for your quote unquote papers and detaining you until you show them. Shoot them. That's a call for violence. There's no other way to see that. So I want to get another glimpse at the screen here real quick to make sure that you can see exactly what okay, good. I want to make sure you can see what I'm showing you. I'm going to alter that just a little bit. But that's obviously what they're doing here. It's very lawful to resist an unlawful arrest, even to the point of deadly force, says Imam Abdullah. May all American citizens come together and unify against this corruption and tyranny, and if necessary, go to what? I told you a civil war is burgeoning. It wasn't a joke. It is. And there's one of the individuals from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Imam Kareem Salim Abdullah, who is ready to fight that war. To say that this is disturbing and troubling, like I said, is a complete understatement. It is so much more. Let's talk about this. I've got so many things that I want. You know what? Before I share I want to share another story with you here. Let me pull it up real quick before pausing it to do something that is important to start out with this morning as well. If you look at the title, I try to give each of these episodes now every morning that we're on together a title just to kind of let you know what I'm thinking of, what I want to talk about, what the top issues are today, guests and so forth. And Today, the title of today's show, as you can see, is A Time for Ice. It is a time for ice. What does that mean? It means it is time for ICE to stop being controlled, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, to stop being defensive, to stop being victimized, endangered, attacked, surrounded. It's time for ICE to be offensive, not just defensive, but offensive, and exert some control and some authority. You're federal agents. You don't have to work like this. You don't have to work while being attacked, mobbed, having bottles thrown at your head, having urine thrown upon you, having your vehicles rammed, having your persons rammed by others in their vehicles. There's something that is a part of law enforcement when unruly protesters, which is a soft way of saying anarchists and rioters, start to create an unsafe situation. There's something called crowd control, which is absolutely 100% legal. And it is used when crowds are out of control and are endangering people. All right? Sometimes it's tear gas. Sometimes it's pepper spray. Sometimes it's flashbangs. Okay? And these are not intended to harm. They're intended to disperse the crowd, make them go away. All right? It is lawful, according to the First Amendment to the Constitution, to assemble and to petition the government for the redress of your grievances. It is lawful to do that, which means protest is okay. But there is a key word that the left leaves out every time they go to one of these things, and they scream that they're just practicing their constitutional rights. They're taking advantage of their rights to free speech, free expression, and the freedom to assemble. They're leaving out the word peaceable. Peaceable assembly is protected by the First Amendment. Obstructive assembly, impeding assembly, violent assembly, blocking traffic assembly. These things are not peaceable. These things lead to violence. And therefore, every single one of these individuals engaging in it should be crowd controlled. Okay? They should be crowd controlled. Tear gas is one way. Like I said, pepper spray, flashbang grenades, there are a lot of different things that can break up a crowd so that officers can go to work and do their jobs the way they did in 2013, in 2014, and in 2015. Back when Barack Obama was president and ICE was out there doing this job without any interference whatsoever, any obstruction. Why was there no obstruction when Obama was doing this? You know why. Democrats were never going to cross Obama. He was their saint. Why would they get in the way of what Obama was doing? And conservatives weren't going to get in the way, even though we despised Obama for a million different reasons. His divisive enmity that he created with law enforcement, like almost from the day he was inaugurated in 2009. I don't want to sit here and go through the history of Barack Obama and everything he did to this country, but the point is conservatives were supportive of that decision. If you got ICE out there doing the job, more please. So there was no obstruction, right? But these officers who were able to work like that then, these agents, are not able to do so now because of all of this obstruction and all of this, the assault and the danger that they face. So to me, crowd control is necessary here. And one of the, and this is a little bit of what's going to make it controversial is because of the history in the pre-Civil Rights Act, or the pre-Civil Rights era, I should say, prior to the Civil Rights Act being passed, in the Jim Crow era, an era and an age of segregation and whites only here, blacks here, and all the rest. There are some really, really ugly and unfortunate incidents in which police officers and others used fire hoses to break up crowds of black people who were protesting. It's an ugly reminder of that era. Fire hoses, kind of bring about leave a bad taste in the mouth for a lot of people. But to them, I say, get over it. It's in the past, but that's a weapon and a tool that should be used now. Now, especially because it's single-digit temperatures where we are here in Northeast Ohio right now, where I'm broadcasting from. It's probably colder than that up there in the Great White North of, Minneapolis. No, what did I say? Minnesomalia is the new name that I'm giving Minnesota. Minnesomalia. It's a little bit too much to go with Minneapolis, Somalia. So we'll just say Minnesota and Somalia. Somalia. It's single digits up there too. You want to get them away from the impeding and the obstruction of ICE operations that are going right now? Tap the freaking hydrants and break out the water cannons, the fire hoses, and turn them into freaking communist popsicles. Drench them, get them out of there. In single-digit temperatures, they'll leave. I kid you not. Make it so uncomfortable for them to want to be there, obstructing and getting in the way of law enforcement that they'll never come back. Have those things ready at all of these sites of these mass riots and anarchist demonstrations. I will not call them protests because protests are peaceful and they're lawful. These people are not peaceful and they're not lawful. That's why we've got to use whatever. It's time for ICE to be ICE. And that means be ice gosh damn cold. Go and do what needs to be done to break these people up. You should not have to work like this. I keep seeing more and more of the videos every night or every day of the previous night's activities. And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know what they're paying every one of these agents. I don't know what they're paying the federal agents in the Border Patrol and so forth, but it's not enough. What they are being forced to endure while they're trying to do their jobs is just, it's got to stop. Let ICE be ICE. And I said before, zip ties for everybody. And that would be even better. Hose them down in single degree temperatures, then zip tie them, and then leave them there. You might say, well, that's cruel and unusual punishment. No, it's not. It's waiting for the paddy wagon. It's got to wait for transport to the jail. You broke the law, and you're going to jail. And we got to wait for you now. And we had to break up the crowd of violent anarchists, and so we had to use a crowd control. I'm not kidding. Crowd dispersal is crucial, or else these guys are never going to be able to do their jobs. I did this yesterday, and because I talked about this yesterday with cursing out, I posted this yesterday too. I wonder if it's on I think it's on my Twitter, my X feed as well. Let me just pull this up super quick, just to kind of share the message. This was just one of the Bob Frantz road rants, and I did this yesterday because it needed to be said, I suppose. Yeah, here it is. People need to be reminded of this, and I shared this yesterday. Again, not my video. I did this video after yesterday's broadcast, but I shared the story with Peter Kirsanow yesterday, and just to give you the quick summary of it, here we go. Once again, it's all about a jigsaw puzzle here. I got to move things from here to there in order for you to be able to see them. So yeah, there's me, and there's the truck, and there's the yesterday's Bob Frantz road rants. And here you go.
In 2015, Barack Obama gave Tom Homan a presidential medal, an award for keeping America's homeland secure and safe.
I'll just pause to see the picture longer. You see it? Barack Obama gave Tom Homan a medal, and that is not, I repeat, not some Photoshop thing or some AI thing. That's real, and I'll prove it in a moment.
Deporting criminal illegal aliens with ICE. He got an award for that. In 2026, 11 years later, Tom Homan is still deporting criminal illegal aliens with ICE. But now instead of awards, he gets death threats. He gets lawfare. His family has to go into hiding. What's the difference? Tom Homan is doing the same thing Tom Homan did then. What's the difference? And the answer is then he was following the orders of Barack Obama. Today, he's following the exact same orders, but from Donald Trump. Same guy, same organization, same methods, same results. One time he gets an award, this time because of the President of the United States being named Donald J. Trump, this time he gets death threats. That, my friends, is what TDS looks like.
And it is. And there have been some people online in response to that saying, that was AI, that's Photoshopped. It is not. There is a website, and I actually did a couple of screenshots there. This is the 2015 Presidential Rank Award winners. The Civil Service Reform Act of 1978 established the Presidential Rank Awards program to recognize a select group of career members of the senior executive service for exceptional performance over an extended period of time. Later, the rank award statute was amended to extend eligibility to senior career employees with a sustained record of exceptional professional, technical, and or scientific achievement recognized on the national or international level. And among the 2015 Presidential Rank Award winners, which is why that picture I just showed you, are you seeing this? Oh, you know what? I apologize. I didn't share this one with you. My apologies. Let me pull it back up here. I want you to see what I am seeing. So what I just read to you, there we go. That is literally from the White House website from 2015, okay, announcing the Presidential Rank Award winners. So that's one. And then the second one I just shared to prove to people this is not some sort of a Photoshop or some sort of an AI. This is the inside of the second page, basically, of the program that you can see online. And you can see all of the people who were presented with awards for their exemplary career service that day by Barack Obama. And among them down here, Department of Homeland Security. 2015, Thomas D. Homan. Now, I don't know if Kevin K. McAleenan or Connie L. Patrick are also still working with ICE or working with Homeland Security, but we know Tom Homan sure as hell is. And Tom Homan is doing the same thing today that he was doing then. The same thing he was doing then. And here's that picture that I included on my rant, on my road rant. That's 2015, Barack Obama awarding Tom Homan the Presidential Award for Service for Making America Safer at ICE. And 10 years later, liberals want Tom Homan killed. And it's true, they do. Look at that imam. Look at that imam as, for evidence of that, just to kind of underscore the point there. But you can see that photograph there. So, and again, I'm getting off into the weeds a little bit, and I want to come back on task a little bit for some of the disgusting things that we are seeing. That imams was the first and most important at that particular point in time. But let me get to some others. This I want to share with you is a bit of, it's somebody holding their cell phone camera in a classroom so that they could record, which is, it's one of these weird things where, we decry kids being on their phones all the time, and we talk about how, kind of dangerous it is and too much screen time and so forth. But then sometimes we want to say, if you're in a public school, keep those phones on. Keep those phones on and record all of the radical crap that you see. And that's what happened here. I'm going to share this one with you. Allow me to introduce you to, by way of Libs of TikTok, who does such an amazing job of exposing some of these nuts. A teacher at Becker High School in Minnesota caught arguing with a student over the shooting of Renee Good, falsely claiming that the ICE officer was not in danger while telling the student, just because you're alive doesn't mean you're intelligent. The student stood his ground and said, just because you're yelling doesn't mean you're winning the argument. I have massive, massive love for young people who are willing to stand up to authority that is trying to impose, and I'm talking about educators, impose not proper and effective discipline. Because I was a teacher, and I couldn't stand the students that didn't respect the discipline code. But we're talking about teachers that are trying to impose their personal political worldview on these kids, to indoctrinate them and groom them and turn them into, some sort of little mind-melded robots. Kids who stand up to that, I have a lot of respect for. So let's watch this.
His move should have been to go like this if he was really afraid. Your job as a police officer is to de-escalate.
So a split second.
No, he had no.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
She was not working with you.
We're arguing right now. What are you doing? You're arguing.
Because watch the video, he was not in
Just because
danger.
you're yelling doesn't mean you're winning an argument.
Let me just pause that, because if I was in front of this bitch, teacher, excuse me, I probably would have said something a little stronger. But, she's like, look at the video. He was not in danger. He got hit by a goddamn SUV, you stupid skank. He got hit by an SUV. A week later, he was still bleeding internally. He literally, and if he had not done what he did to stop her and slow her down and then get out of the way in time, he would have been run over by the wheels, the tires of that SUV. He got hit literally right there on the driver's side as she turned directly. She was in reverse. You could see it by the lights. She dropped that down into drive and she floored it and turned right at him. It's impossible to not see him. If she wanted to avoid him, she would have turned her wheel the other direction. And he got hit, and he wasn't in danger. What is this nut? No wonder the students are rebelling again peacefully by making their points.
Just because you're yelling doesn't mean you're winning.
That was the line right there. Just because you're yelling doesn't mean you're winning the argument. Taking it to the teacher, and you know what? Good.
Can I?
Yeah, just because you're alive doesn't mean you are intelligent.
It sucks that she got shot, but it's a split. You have a split second.
Yeah.
And they're not.
How does a student get that, but an adult educator doesn't? And if you didn't hear him, he's saying he had a split second, and that's correct. He was trying to get her to get out of the vehicle to make a lawful detention because she was blocking traffic with her vehicle perpendicular to the traffic, blocking not only ICE vehicles, but other vehicles wanting to get through. They finally came to her door after 3.5 minutes, tried to open her door and say, get out. And that's when she, and then turned. And again, he was in her path. Her obligation at that point was to hit the brake pedal, not the gas pedal. She hit the gas pedal and got shot for it because he had a split second to make up his mind and to decide whether he was going to live or die. All right. The student is right. Now, a little bit more from Libs of TikTok here because you need to know who this person is. And again, Chaya, who does Libs of TikTok, is an amazing researcher, and she's got a network that she has built so she can find out pretty much who everybody is. And here we go. Heather Abrahamson or whatever, the teacher who argued with and insulted a student over the shooting of Renee Good, wrote a woke LGBTQ dissert. Gee, what a shock, right? Dissertation paper for her PhD, the lived experiences of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer individuals in a rural Midwestern town. And as Libs of TikTok says, you just can't make this shit out. You absolutely cannot. More about that teacher. I know there's another one here. Oh yeah, here it is. No, that's the dissertation one with her abstract. There was another post about her that I thought she had up here. Okay, this is just, no, that's another one. That's another I wanted to share with you. I thought there was more on Abrahamson, but maybe there isn't. Or at least it wasn't on Libs of TikTok's page, and that's okay. Because that brings me to the next one that I do want to share with you, the next person that Libs of TikTok featured, and that we need to feature. This one is closer to home. This one is Ohio. Okay. Chanda Petri Zaruk, Vice President of Home First Choice in Ohio. She's an RN. Okay. She's a nurse. She posted this horrific video. My wife told me about this morning. I didn't see this yesterday as I was preparing today's podcast. This woman is in charge of a home health care company and is a registered nurse in the state of Ohio. As Libs of TikTok says, terrifying that activists like this are in the medical field. She needs to have her license revoked. Maybe you're wondering, why? Why would she have her license revoked? What did she say? I'm not going to make you wonder. I'm going to let you watch and listen to what Chanda Petri Zarek, RN, had to say about President Donald J. Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. Caroline Leavitt, who is everything that the last press secretary was not: informed, intelligent, articulate, knowledgeable, and honest. All of the things that Karine Jean-Pierre the black and gay press secretary. I bring that up only because she wrote a book about herself being black and gay. It's the most important thing that she wants the world to know, that she was black and gay. She was historic. She never said she was smart. She never said she was good. She never said she was talented. She always said black and gay. Have at it. Caroline Leavitt is her successor at the podium. And Caroline Leavitt is, like I said, everything that Karine was not. Caroline Leavitt, well, I'm just going to let this RN speak for herself, what she thinks should happen to Caroline Leavitt.
My wish for Caroline Leavitt, she is pregnant with a baby girl, and I truly do hope that baby is so healthy. I hope she's healthy and headstrong, so headstrong, in fact, that as she is emerging into this world through Caroline's geriatric tech garage, that she tears her from bow to fucking stern. Grade 4 tear. Like so big that when she gets out of the shower naked and walks across the room, like she accidentally picks up dog toys. Yeah. That's my wish for you, Caroline.
I'm going to let you stare at her face for just a moment longer. The smile on her face during the entire bizarre, grotesque, horrific, and I'm just kind of pinpointing places here. She smiled through the entire thing. Through that horrific wish of vile, horrible things to happen to Caroline Leavitt during childbirth. She's an RN. She's a nurse. Now, are there any nurses in the chat this morning? Is anybody? If you're a nurse and you're in the chat right now, I'm just taking a quick peek to see if anybody is there. Do you take an oath like doctors do? Is there an oath in all medical professional positions, doctors and nurses? I don't know if there's like a nurse oath. I kind of feel like there should be. There probably is. I don't know what it is, but I feel like there's probably something that where she says she will, it's like the Hippocratic Oath for doctors, in which you at first do no harm. First, do no harm. You cannot harm healthy people. You cannot harm healthy organs, which is why every one of the butchers that cuts the breasts off of teenage girls because they decide they want to be a boy, or cuts the junk off of a teenage boy who wants to be or even a male, or an adult rather, quite frankly, who wants to be the other sex, they're doing harm. They're doing harm. They're violating the oath, which is why I think they don't even take the Hippocratic Oath anymore. But isn't there some sort of an oath that nurses take too? Okay, there we go. Ernie says, yes, I am a nurse, and yes, we take an oath. Florence Nightingale. Is that the name of the oath? I don't know. Maybe that's what it means. Thank you for the clarification, but there is an oath. I would love to know what that says. Buckeye Therese says, retired. Pretty sure I took an oath during graduation, but it's been decades. Okay, so there are some nurses here or retired nurses. That person cannot keep their license, right? As an RN, that person with that smiling face, that disgusting piece of human vermin, not human vermin, but disgusting piece of vermin, that person cannot keep their license, right? That is just beyond. Can you imagine? And this is going viral because Libs of TikTok is a massive, not only national but worldwide recognized account on X. Okay, because she has done such extraordinary work. If you saw that video and then you showed up at your hospital and you saw that face come into your room to treat you, what would you do? I honestly think if I was bleeding out, I would say, get out, get out, get out. Send in someone else. Because Lord only knows what a person like that is capable of. She is mentally ill. When my wife showed me that this morning, that these are the kinds of people that we're dealing with, the imam that I shared with you a few minutes ago, the teacher in Minnesota. This nurse, when she showed me that video of this particular RN, I said to her, Michael Savage was right. It's not just a slogan to lob insults back and forth between right and left, between conservatives and leftists and so forth. It's not just one of those things. Michael Savage said probably close to 30 years ago, and I don't know if he coined it, but he was the first one I ever heard say it, and it's been quoted many, many times since. But he said liberalism is a mental disorder. It's not just an ideology. It's not just a, hey, here's how I see, the idea of national security or economic growth or, capitalist versus communist in terms of economic models. And it's not a difference of opinion. Liberal is a mental disorder. If you believe the things that liberals, and by liberals, I don't mean classical liberals. I mean what Dennis Prager, who I learned this from so many years ago, talks about. We're talking about leftists who are believers in Marxist and communist ideology. These individuals see things in a way that is just not rational, normal. There is a mental disorder there. And how can you think otherwise when you watch people like her? And when you watch some of these leftists, chanting cheerfully about shooting Charlie Kirk in the neck. We shot Charlie in the head, or in the neck. You've seen that video too, probably as well. When you see these people literally arguing for the most vile, depraved, disgusting things ever, they're not right in the head. There's a mental disorder there. I mean, clearly those who are supportive of and participating in the trans, atrocity that has been going on for the last decade plus, and I know transgenderism isn't just in the last decade, it just took off as a social contagion in the last decade, right? They have clear mental disorders. They have allowed themselves to be groomed and brainwashed in most of the cases to believe things about themselves that aren't true. But others that actually do have, a disconnect between their mind and their body, they have that gender dysphoria. It's like less than 1/10 of the population has actual gender dysphoria, as opposed to the social contagion saying, I want to be trendy. I want to be something else too, after being groomed in such ways by teachers like the one in that classroom that we showed you in Minnesota. How can you describe that as anything other than having a mental disorder? It is real and it is verifiable. That's what liberalism is and what it becomes. That, and the fact that she is also talking now about the RN there, the fact that she is the fact that she's an RN makes her something worse, and that's an AWFL. She's an RN AWFL. She's a registered nurse. Awful being affluent, white. Affluent, white, female liberal, and awful. And if affluency doesn't apply to somebody there, activist works too. Activist, white, female, liberal. But that's who these people are. They're awfuls, and we're talking about the biggest danger, I think, probably the biggest group of rabble-rousers in America. They're not blacks, they're not browns, they're not males. They're white, liberal women, period. And they have mental disorders. That RN just kind of proved that, which brings me to this. And people are going to accuse me of conflating the two and saying I want to lock up every liberal inside one of these institutions. And I'm not necessarily saying that, but I do think this is an interesting time to bring this up. This just in from President Donald J. Trump. Watch your screen right now at what President Trump said yesterday he would like to see returned to the United States of America, and tell me whether or not you agree.
There's a reason for bail, long tested. Signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. We're going to have to bring them back. Hate to build those suckers, but but you got to get the people off the streets.
I didn't realize that he had signed that executive order. What he was doing was running through a list of accomplishments in year number 1 of the Trump presidency. Yesterday, of course, marked 365 days of awesome, the golden age. We talked about it for the whole first hour of the show yesterday. So he was doing this at his impromptu press conference, a 2-hour press conference. He stood there like a freaking, what's the word? What was Arnold in the Terminator? The combination of human and machine, not android. What am I trying to say? Cyborg. He's a cyborg. The guy's a cyborg. He's 79 years old, and he'll just stand there at the podium for 2 hours and not weaken at all. It's weird. He's a cyborg. But he did this press conference yesterday, and among the things he talked about was that accomplishment. I didn't realize he had signed an executive order saying we want to bring back, and we must bring back, mental institutions and asylums. But he did. And I'll tell you what, I think we could fill the damn things right now. And we absolutely should.
Reason for bail, long tested. Signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. We're going to have to bring them back. Hate to build those suckers, but you got to get the people off the street.
He's not wrong. And again, I'm not really seriously trying to conflate the two things, mental institutions and liberals that have a mental disorder. I'm not really trying to do that. But if it fits, it fits. And somebody who would be violent just on the basis of their radicalism, their radical leftism like that, maybe they do belong in a facility. But what President Trump was talking about, their bigger picture, of course, is so many of the violent criminals on our streets, and in our subway cars, on our trains, like the ones that are setting people on fire as they sleep on subways, like the ones coming up behind young Ukrainian immigrants working a job at a pizza shop while trying to make it as a model. And I'm talking about Irina Zarutska, who was killed in that North Carolina light rail train by the mentally insane individual who stabbed her in the neck. These individuals, these people that we're talking about, are mentally ill. These people have, because why weren't you in prison? Why weren't you in prison for decades, for the 74 other times you were arrested? You've proven that you cannot live among regular society, decent society, normal people. You're a threat to normal people. You don't, the codes and the laws by which society lives and is governed don't apply to you because you're just not right up here. And you're not safe to be around. And people say, well, it's not their fault if they have a mental illness and they can't stop themselves from doing bad things to other people. It's the reason why we have a not guilty by reason of insanity plea in capital cases. And maybe in other, felony cases as well. I don't know. We always hear about them in murder cases. But literally, people will say, well, you can't lock somebody away in a prison filled with hardcore violent felons when what they're doing is not their fault because they have a mental impairment, a mental disorder. You can't lock them in those prisons. And there's some truth to that. You got to put everybody like that in solitary. And then you say, well, that's cruel and unusual. And now they're left alone in there by themselves with nobody to talk to or see or interact with. And that's an even worse type of cruelty, right? Cruel and unusual punishment. So if you can't put somebody who is a threat to the public in a prison because they're mentally unstable and that's what causes them to act out in public, you can't put them in a prison because they'll be harmed by the population of violent criminals who do it intentionally, not because of mental illness. You can't keep them separated. Well, then what do you do with them? You turn them back loose into the public. And then they stab the next person. And then the headlines go, so-and-so arrested 14 times for violent assaults back out on the streets, thanks to the left-wing judges who don't want to do the cruel and unusual thing by putting them in prison. And they're back out committing more crimes. Trump was right. The place for those people is in an institution. And I'm sorry about the the image that we have when we think of mental institutions and insane asylums is probably Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I'm sorry that when you think about, straitjackets and rubber rooms, so that people don't hurt themselves, and you think horrible, horrible way to treat people. Sorry, but what the hell else? I mean, seriously, it's let them live in that type of controlled environment, or it's the prison, or it's you set them free to prey on other people, like the ones we're describing. What do you want to do? President Trump was right about that. And when it comes to severely mentally disordered individuals who then go out and commit violent political crimes, or commit rather political violence, like the ones we have seen, like many of those we have seen, those individuals should have been in the institutions a long time ago. So again, while not equating the two and not trying to directly relate the two, I'm kind of relating the two. It is a mental disorder. Liberalism, leftism, communism, socialism, collectivism. They are liberal disorders, period. That's not in dispute. And the question is what are we going to do about it? That civil war that we were talking about, it's being brought to us. Somebody was trolling me on one of my social media know if it was Facebook or X or whatever, a couple of days ago when I did my Bob Frantz Road Rants video about the civil war that's coming, saying there's only two sides to a civil war. There are only two sides. You can either be on the side of child molesters, rapists, murderers, human traffickers, drug traffickers, and terrorists, which is who ICE is trying to remove from the country, the worst first. You can be on the side that supports them, or you can be on the side that wants to deport every one of those sick, twisted bastards from our country. Which one do you want to be? Which side are you on? That was the point that I made before in that video, and I'll second it right now. If they're bringing, anyway, going back to the troll who said to me, I hope you're ready to stand on the front lines of that war you crave so badly. And my response was, I don't crave war. I don't crave a civil war. I don't crave any kind of war. They're starting it. And when someone wages war on you, you have a choice. You can either be overwhelmed by it and surrender to it, or you can fight back against it. I don't want civil war in our streets like what you're seeing in Minneapolis, Minnesomalia. I don't want to see war in the streets anywhere. I don't want to see war anywhere. But I will tell you this, if that war threatens to overwhelm us, if it threatens to make us surrender to it, we damn sure will fight it. And we are damn sure the ones who are going to finish it. All right, I'm going to take a short time out here. We have reached the top of the hour. I want to remind you of a couple of things, including this. This episode is brought to you by Mark King and Keeping Medicare Simple. Medicare Advantage open enrollment is happening right now through March 31st. And if you're on Medicare, this matters to you. And if you're in Northeast Ohio, I want to personally recommend someone I know and trust, Mark King. I've known Mark for years, and I've referred Medicare recipients to him time and time again because he puts people first and keeps Medicare simple. If you're thinking about switching Advantage plans or even returning to original Medicare, call Mark's office today at 440-832-8936 to schedule an appointment. And for clear, easy-to-understand information, visit the user-friendly website keepingmedicaresimple.com. When it comes to Medicare, I trust Mark King, and you can too. All right, that is our final timeout of the half, actually of the game. Thanks again for being with us. Hour number 2, strictly speaking, unfiltered, underway now. And don't forget, coming up in about a half an hour, we're going to talk with the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, a member of the Oversight Committee, Jim Jordan. Congressman Jordan joins us at the bottom of this hour. And now I want to talk to somebody who wants to be his colleague in the United States Congress. I've been teasing this for, all week since Monday morning, that we've got a surprise guest who is somebody who is announcing today a run for Congress. And he's running in a district which is very, very interesting and unique because it is currently occupied by a completely useless individual who is doing nothing good for her district or for the United States, a radical named Amelia Sykes, who I think is one of the most unqualified people in all of Congress, quite frankly. And that's saying something. But District 13 needs a good, strong conservative representative. And recent happenings in Columbus, including the redrawing of the congressional districts, took what could have been a favorable GOP district and turned it into a favorable Democrat district, which means a lot of people haven't had the willingness to fight this fight. Today's guest is willing to fight that fight. Let me introduce him. He is a longtime Northeast Ohio radio host. He is a former meteorologist you probably have seen. He's a conservative voice who believes America works best when hard-working families, not political insiders, set the direction of the country. For years, this man has informed and served his community both on air and on television, giving everyday citizens a platform. I like this bio, I do. Holding government accountable and standing up for faith, freedom, and personal responsibility. Now he's running for Congress to restore common sense, secure the border, strengthen the economy, and put Northeast Ohio first. Who is he, you ask? Who is that question mark? Here he is. He is Kerry Coleman. Kerry Coleman. Welcome, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for all the great work that you do. I want to tell you, your podcast is on fire. It's fantastic. I turned it on near the top of the hour there at 7 o'clock. And I enjoyed it so much. And you are not skipping a beat. You call it like it is. And you always have on your radio shows.
Well, likewise, and I appreciate that. And speaking of radio shows, you've been hosting a radio show for quite some time now on Akron, Kent's WNIR. For those who don't know that, I don't know if you have a volume up over there or not, Kerry, but I'm hearing myself feeding back a little bit there. So if you can,
the volume up, I can turn the volume down just a little bit.
Maybe just a little bit. Yeah, I think we're getting feedback into whatever mic.
Does that help?
We'll find out. But
Okay.
Kerry, let's talk about what you're doing and what you're giving up here, because you have been the voice of conservatism in Summit County for some time now on WNIR, and you're willing to put that career aside and everything else you've been doing to serve in Congress. Tell us why.
Well, I have to tell you, it's a very difficult thing to give up the radio show because, being a host of a radio show for a number of years, you become like family with the listeners, with the callers, with the people that participate. And you feel like in a lot of ways, when you don't do a show, even if you go on vacation or if you're sick, you feel like you let them down. And leaving the show is a very difficult thing to do. And I will tell you, you have to search long and hard before you can actually do that. But the reason I'm running is because, first of all, I can't just live a life of leisure. I could go out and golf, I could fish, I could do all those things. And I can't do it because this country is under siege. This country is under attack. Everything that we consider American, cultural, historical, everything that would make us prosperous is literally under attack. And when Kevin Coughlin dropped out of the race, I asked myself, if it's not Kevin, and if it's not me, then who? And I decided to use whatever public persona that I've got and to use it in the right way. If I can be a tool for good, if I can be the voice of the issues, a voice of reason, and I can take conservative values and honesty to Congress, but it's not just going to Congress, it's being plugged in. And can I say this? Actually living in the 13th district and actually listening to the people in the 13th district, and whatever the issues are, try to have a hand in influence and trying to make it right. For the last 50 years coming up at the end of this congressional term, it will be 50 years that the Democrats have controlled this seat. And what have they done for you? Education, has it gotten better? I don't think so. Has crime gone off the charts? Yes. Soft on crime policies are destroying our communities. In Akron now, they're doing away with police patrols. I don't know if you've heard that or not.
I have not heard that.
That's going to work real well.
What?
All police patrols going away in Akron.
That's impossible. I don't understand that. We'll talk more about that in a moment because I want you to continue all of the reasons why you're running, because you're right what you just said. What have Democrats done for 50 years in that district? Absolutely nothing, but please continue.
Well, you're talking about in terms of economic development, the jobs, how many thousands and thousands of great jobs in that 50 years have left this district. Okay, taxes are off the charts. People are hurting. People are suffering. And guess what? There's no accountability when it comes to government. And you know, when you look at what Democrats promise, which I suppose for some people, and they're thinking it's almost everything, but do they ever deliver on anything? And has any blue district ever gotten better when a Democrat took over? I'm thinking, but I can't think of one. So when it comes to taking the fight to Amelia Sykes in the 13th district, and trust me, it is winnable. It is a swing district. It wasn't redistricted in a real positive Republican favor, but it is still, if you look at the demographics, you look at the way things are trending, it is very much a swing district and it is winnable. And it certainly would have been winnable last time if all of the good-minded conservative people, independents and Republicans, would have gotten out to vote. We would have won last time.
Why do you think that is then? Because I don't have like a demographic map in front of me or chart in front of me about what the district is made up of. But if there are a number of Republicans and conservatives, if they showed up to vote, could have won this thing the last time. Where are they? How? What? Tell me more about the people of 13 that I don't know.
Well, I will tell you just some national numbers. I don't know if you know these numbers or not, but they're actually alarming. Okay, 30% of Christians in the country are not registered to vote. 40% of Christians don't vote.
Wow. I did not know that.
10 million hunters do not vote. They're not registered to vote. So but even if you look among registered voters, if we all turn out, we win. When good people don't vote, bad candidates win.
Spot on.
Now, very specifically, I just want to ask you, don't you feel a little bit slighted here this morning that you don't have a congressional subpoena or you're not facing an indictment? Because it sure seems like a lot of people are. Oh, wait, you're not a Democrat.
Well said. Well said. Tell me your opinion of Amelia Sykes and what she has done since she's been in that seat.
She's done a lot of things, and none of them are good. I'm trying to get this phone stabilized, so please, there we go.
No worries.
Let's see here. I'll tell you what, we'll get it. I'll put this over here. I'm trying to get. I should have done this ahead of time, stabilized it. I thought I did have it stabilized. So, you know, live television. There we go.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
So, okay, what is my opinion of Amelia Sykes? Well, she comes from a very political family, long history of Democrat politics here in the state. Okay, so she was pretty much handed the district. She claims to live in the district, but a lot of people believe that she really doesn't. We never see her. She never shows up. She doesn't do too many appearances here. Some people, many people. Her husband, by the way, has a full-time job in government in Columbus, Ohio. So having somebody here present would be a nice thing. That'd be a great start. Number two, she has voted inconceivably against the working people of the 13th district, voted against them time and time again. For instance, she voted no against no tax on tips, no tax on overtime and no tax on Social Security. I don't know how you do that if you're representing, and this is a working class district.
Yes,
okay?
it is. Yes, it is.
So how do you do that? And on top of that, so many other things. This is inconceivable. As a congressperson, as a human being, how do you vote no against the resolution in the House to condemn the brutal assassination of Charlie Kirk? As a person, as a human being, how do you do that? And I think that says enough, but I could go on, and I'll tell you, she seems to be bosom buddies with some of the leftist, most radical, America-hating members of Congress. Who am I talking about? Ilhan Omar.
The squad.
The squad, yeah, Ilhan Omar. Taking a vacation to the Virgin Islands last summer with Ilhan Omar, Stacey Plaskett, oh, there's a class act, and Jasmine Crockett. These are the leftists. These are the most radical. And she is part of the gang. How could you take a vacation with those people?
I couldn't. I wouldn't go into a restroom if they were in the same room with me. I mean, no. Carrie, yeah, she is so far out there. If those are her, her running mates, and when I say running mates, I mean the crew that she hangs with, and she should be very easily beatable here. Now, you just described this district as being beatable for a lot of the reasons, in terms of her, not being a part of the district, not living in the district, and so forth. All of those things are important, but it was going to be a lot more winnable before they redrew the districts. Tell me your thoughts on that, and tell me what how much more difficult the challenge is now.
Well, I'll tell you a couple of things. I know that from the initial appearance of the redraw, it looked like that we were going to be D+2, Democrat +2 in terms of percentage points based on previous elections. Looked like D+2. Some people were saying D+4. But if you look at the real numbers that we're beginning to analyze in the state of Ohio, in the district, there are a lot of people that used to vote Democrat that are switching to Republican. There are plenty of independents that would, on a very regular basis, vote Democrat that are not going to be able to vote Democrat anymore. I do not think in any way, shape, or form that too much has changed in the district in reality, and she is absolutely beatable. And I can guarantee you one thing. The Democrats are going to throw untold amounts of money into this district because they want to keep it. But I will also tell you, based on what we're hearing, it's going to be a catfight because the Republicans are going to throw a lot of money into this district because we believe we can win.
You beat me to the question, which is, tell me about your funding. You're getting into this a little bit late. Some of these congressional races have been going on since last fall, even last summer. Some of them in Ohio 9, for example. Marin and Williams, and now Madison. What is her last name? She, I think it is. Anyway, you're getting in now. You're getting in January. The primary is in 3.5 months, 4 months ish. Tell me how well you can put an organization together and how well funded you can be in this short period of time, Kerry.
I will tell you this. It has been nothing short of miraculous, the energy surrounding this candidacy. I did my last show on WNIR last night, and for 3 hours, it was absolutely heartwarming. The enthusiasm, the push to actually do this. And everywhere I go, everybody I talk to, they're really excited about this candidacy and are willing to get behind it 100%. Are we starting a little bit late? Yeah, I think so. But I think we can catch up when it comes to money. I know we can catch up when it comes to the energy because I think we've got it. And let's talk just a little bit about the state of affairs in politics. Okay. Please. You've worked in mass media pretty much all your life. Okay. When you started in news, it was pretty much really news. When I started news, it was news. And that meant that if you were a political candidate and you had a good voice and you had a good articulation of the issues, you could stand up for yourself. It did not necessarily take $10 million to run a congressional campaign. You could do it because the news people, the news outlets did their job. You got coverage no matter what, okay? It's just part of a political process. However, things have changed. We know the news stations don't really do their job anymore. And when it comes right down to it, you got to pay for it. You got to buy to get that attention. You have to buy the time to get your word out. So in that one sense, it is critical to be well funded if you're going to beat somebody like Amelia Sykes. So do we have a little bit of a late start when it comes to the campaign? Of course we do. But I'll tell you what, good people can overcome any obstacle, and we're going to.
Yeah, Carrie, I've got your website up on your campaign website up on the screen with us right now, and I'm looking at the issues tab. First of all, everybody see the one I'm circling with my mouse now? Hopefully you are, the big red one in the upper right there. Yeah, hit that one because it does take money. It does take money, and this late start is, again, it is not an obstacle that cannot be overcome. Give Kerry the resources he needs to run this campaign because it is winnable. So that donate button is important. But the one I clicked up here is the issues one, Kerry, because I want to ask you a little bit about this. These are some of your priorities: lower costs, higher paychecks, law and order, defending freedom, limited government, American jobs, Ohio strength, and strong communities. I want to hit that second one first, law and order. You just said that Akron is doing away with police patrols?
In neighborhood patrols. That was in the Akron Beacon Journal a couple of weeks ago. It is inconceivable. Everywhere the Democrats touch, and I will tell you, the city council in Akron, even much more radically than the mayor, Shamus Malik, is really, really against the men and women in blue. And it's disheartening because, and the other thing that I've been talking to law enforcement people in various jurisdictions and other people that are trying to watch the real crime numbers. I think you know this, it's no secret. Many of our blue districts literally lie about the total violent crime numbers, statistics in their districts. It's very, very hard to get that information. We're trying to do it through kind of backdoor sources. But I want to tell you, nobody in Akron, nobody in many areas in Canton, they don't feel safe. And they don't feel safe because it's justified. When you tell the police, and I'm gonna read a little piece here from Amelia Sykes' statement when it came to ICE after the shooting a couple of weeks ago up there in Minneapolis. She said, I'm gonna read just a tiny piece of this. She says, as ICE agents have been deployed across the country, the administration must ensure that they are adequately trained to de-escalate tense situations and maintain the safety of American people. Now, that word de-escalate, you saw the teacher there talking about de-escalate. What are the policies in most of these blue cities? Let's go to Cleveland. Flash mobs take over huge sections of the city. You know what their policy is? Well, let boys be boys and girls be girls. Let them do what they're going to do. We're going to de-escalate. We'll arrest them later. Does that help you and me in a critical situation when we're being attacked, robbed, assaulted? De-escalate? So Amelia Sykes, one of the leftist favorites, there's no doubt about it, she tried to put out a statement of solidarity with the lefties against the rule of law in this country. But don't you think that that is an incredible insult to ICE, who are highly trained, very professional, and they themselves are being attacked, and we all know it?
Well, it's more than just insulting. It's dangerous because, I mean, first of all, how do you de-escalate a van or an SUV that is like has been floored and is on its way at you? You don't de-escalate and say, stop. You already tried that. You already were at her driver's side door talking into the window saying, get out of the vehicle, get out of the vehicle. You're being detained. And that's when she floored the vehicle and hit this guy. So you don't de-escalate. You also don't I'll put it to you another way, Carrie. And I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but I just wanted to say it out loud. If somebody has a gun pointed at you, the time for de-escalation is over now. It's either get shot, shoot or get shot. It's kill or be killed. And guess what? That vehicle was a gun. It was every bit of a lethal weapon as a firearm would have been. It is aimed directly at him. It has been discharged, for lack of a better way of saying it, because she hit the gas, and he is about to be run down completely. He already got hit, and the only thing that allowed him to the time to get out of the way and not be completely, fully, run under the tires and killed was the fact that he fired his service weapon in order to be able to stop her. So, de-escalation is one thing, but self-defense and the defense, which is what all law enforcement officers, all law enforcement officers are take an oath to do, the defense of others, the defense of the public, to protect. That's the protect part, protect and serve. That is their job. So, the fact that she is anti-ICE, the fact that let me ask you about the district as a whole. Is Akron, I should know this, but is Akron a designated sanctuary city, or do they just?
No, we don't have any, we don't have realistically, or let's say legally speaking, we don't have any sanctuary cities in the state of Ohio, but let's just say friendly. And the policies are very friendly when it comes to illegal immigrants.
So they are. So they're sanctuary cities without the designation, because they know that there's a chance that the feds are going to defund and not send more dollars to sanctuary cities. So they don't want the declaration, but they actually act as such. They won't hold illegal aliens with criminal records that for whom detainers have been issued. They won't hold them and allow ICE to come and pick them up peacefully. So ICE is going to have to go in and do it the hard way.
So that's exactly right. The leaders in blue districts, and especially sanctuary cities, are in fact creating a very unsafe situation, because it is the police departments, the jails, the administration in those cities' obligation. When you have somebody who is deportable or is here illegally and they've committed a crime, it is protocol to call ICE and to say, the CBP, it is protocol to say, come and get this person. Now it's in your hands, and you don't let a dangerous criminal back on the streets. So what are these blue cities doing? They are creating an unsafe situation by putting these hardened criminals out on the streets to do whatever they're going to do. And guess what? They're daring ICE to come and pick them up. Who's creating the situation? Who's manufacturing a crisis? It happens to be the blue cities.
100%. Carrie, tell me about campaign strategy from this point forward. Like I said, it's a little bit late getting in, but there's still time. I'm sure you would love to stand across a stage from Emilia Sykes. I doubt very seriously she would entertain such a thing, but how do you go about this from this point forward?
Well, all I can say is good luck with that one. Last time she really wouldn't even debate, publicly live debates Kevin Coughlin. Okay, this is not somebody that wants to debate. She doesn't think she has to debate because she has the Democrat establishment and their money behind her. She doesn't think that she can do that. But what are we doing for a strategy? Well, we certainly are going to be trying to talk to as many people as possible to get donations, to get checks, to get money into the campaign, because that's all critical. But I can also tell you from a national perspective and a local perspective, there is a huge force behind this campaign. Okay, everybody's excited about the campaign. We're also going to be talking on a grassroots level to all of the people in the Republican Party. We already are. We're organizing them. We are galvanized to take this street fight to Emilia Sykes, and we're not going to stop. We are not going to stop, and the movement in this district is growing leaps and bounds. So we're not going to look at a little bit of a late start. The reason there's a late start is because Kevin Coughlin looked like he was going to run and then dropped out. And I understand his angst about redistricting. But on the other hand, somebody had to jump in there and take the reins, and I decided to be the guy to do it.
Well, you know what, Carrie, that in and of itself speaks so highly of you as a person and as a candidate, because this is truly what it means to serve. You know, people talk about serving, the people of our country in Congress by stepping up and saying, I will take this on. It says a lot about you and about your character, because I was ready to write it off. There's no real legitimate candidate that's going to be there to challenge her. I was very disappointed by that. But to see a man with your name recognition and your principles and your honesty and your integrity and a career spent doing things the right way, you've actually given us a chance now. Because as you know, and I'll let you get the final word here about all of this, Kerry, as you know, every single seat in 2026 is going to be crucial. Because we already have a 3 or 4 seat majority. It will only take a very, very thin Democrat win to take over the House, in which case the last 2 years of the Trump administration will be useless and worthless because they will do nothing but investigate and impeach for 2 years. Everybody. Not just Trump, but everybody in the cabinet will face impeachment and so forth.
If we lose the House,
to win every single one of these seats, including 13, and you're giving us a chance to do that. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Every one of these House seats is critical. If we lose control of the House, it is game over. It is game over for this administration. Think about just one thing: economic development in this country. We are going literally hog wild at new investment in the hottest country in the world right now, created by the administration in place, Donald Trump's administration. We've never seen anything like this. And on top of that, we have the leftists, the radical leftists, the Democrat Party, and you can't separate the two. You can't separate D from radical leftists. You can't do it because the radical leftists are calling the shots in the Democrat Party, okay? This is a critical time because we are on the cusp of absolutely explosive, wonderful growth economically and seeing our economy probably the best that it might have ever been. However, the left is attacking all the great things that we have and will have. They want to disrupt it. Yes. Do I think that they want a civil war? They do. We don't. We want peace. We want to grow this country. We want to get back to normalcy. And I will tell you, I am going to fight like hell to win the 13th district. And I want to tell you, Newt Gingrich told me when I was a little boy, he would come into my radio station and he would talk to me. He was not yet elected as a congressperson. And after he got elected, he said, Kerry, you know, I'm the first Republican in the 6th district of Georgia to be elected in this seat since Reconstruction. I'm going to be the first Republican congressperson elected in the 13th district since deconstruction.
That is phenomenal. That is a phenomenal story and a great message. And I'll tell you what, Kerry, I'm so glad you're there. We're going to do everything we can to give you as much publicity and as much promotion as possible because this gives us a chance. And again, every seat being critical, we cannot surrender one. And you are giving us an opportunity. So, Kerry, thank you for your courage. Thank you for your willingness, your dedication. You're giving up your radio show, which I know is very, very hard for you. You love your listeners and they love you. But to run is truly service. And we appreciate you doing that. Please keep us apprised of any campaign events and anything else that's going on. We'd love to continue to do a forum. All right, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Kerry Coleman for Congress. That is a phenomenal development there. Again, when Kevin Coughlin dropped out because of the redraw, I just figured, well, there's one that we lost that we could have won. I was very angry about the redraw because of that. And then when Kevin dropped out, I understood. He said he didn't want to throw good money after bad and waste donors' money on a campaign that cannot be won because of the way they redrew it. And I understood. Disappointed, but I understood. And now that I see Kerry Coleman stepping up, again, a true conservative warrior with a very, very high name recognition, that matters a lot. It doesn't mean you have to be an established voice to run for Congress, but, you know, newcomers, it's a little bit harder. Kerry is well known to the people in that district, and it could be, enough to put him over the top. And I certainly congratulate and wish him well in that. And if he is successful, he will be a colleague of our next guest, as I welcome to the program the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, member of the House Oversight Committee, and our 4th Congressional District Representative, Congressman Jim Jordan, back with us here on Strictly Speaking Unfiltered. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, Bob. Good morning to you.
Thank you for coming on this morning. It's a very busy time right now, and we just got good news, by the way. We've got a good, solid candidate running in 13 to take on Amelia Sykes, Kerry Coleman. Yeah. Let's start there. Let's start with, no, you know what? I take that back. Before we start with 2026 and the midterms and how important each of these seats is, let's reflect for a moment or two on 365 days of awesome. Yesterday, we marked the 1 year since President Trump was sworn in and inaugurated, and 365 days of accomplishments. He listed a lot of them yesterday at the press conference.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me your analysis of what we saw for 1 year?
More of doing more. I always say we make the job too complicated. We've talked about this before. You put your name on the ballot, you run for office, you win, do what you said you were going to do. Do what you told the voters you were going to do. Do what they elected you to do. And no one does that better than President Trump. I mean, he said he would secure the border. He did. He did so in record time. He said he would cut taxes. We did. Part of the big, beautiful bill. We said we'd give more opportunity to families and parents, empower them when it comes to their son and daughter's education. We did. First time we put a school choice component in the big, beautiful bill in our tax code. We said we have work requirements for able-bodied adults, treat Americans with respect, American taxpayers, and also help individuals who are in the welfare system. That was in the big, beautiful bill. He said he would make sure Iran didn't get nuclear capability. He did that as well. So truly, and all kinds of other things I'm not thinking about right now, getting men out of women's sports, for goodness sake. The other things he did, getting the hostages back because he took out the nuclear capability of Iran. The hostages come back to Israel. Hamas says, "Oh, we better release the remaining hostages." So all because you have a guy in the White House who projects strength and who simply does what he told the American people he was going to do. So yeah, it's been a phenomenal year, and we just got to keep it up so that we can win the midterms and allow President Trump to have 3 more of those great years.
Well, that's what I was just talking to Kerry Coleman about is, if we don't win in 2026 or this November, the last 2 years are going to be useless. And the Democrats are going to have just this full steam or head of steam going into 2028. So it is crucial. What is your level of optimism right now, given the fact that we are headed into a year? First of all, what you just gave us a very small synopsis of a very successful first year. This year, we have the big, beautiful bill. We have the no taxes on tips and on overtime and Social Security and all the other things that are going on to really give a turbocharge to this economy. I feel like it's going to be a great year and that the American people will recognize that come November. So I'm optimistic, maybe overly so. Where are you on that?
No, I'm optimistic as well. And remember, last quarter, I think the growth rate was like 4.3, which is phenomenal. So I think that's the big, beautiful bill starting to have the impact. The regulatory reform, the tax cuts, more money in small business owners, families' pockets to spend on their goals and their dreams. I think all that's starting to kick in. So I do think it's going to be good. We're recruiting good candidates. It's always, it's always nice to have a good candidate when that's what elections are about. Comparing 2 candidates. And so I think we're recruiting good candidates across the country. We won this special election. Matt Van Epps was a West Point grad, helicopter pilot, wonderful family, kind of guy you want representing people in the United States Congress in that open seat we had in Tennessee. So I think we're having good candidates. And then never underestimate the ability of the president, the power of the president to impact elections. He will be out with, this guy's got amazing energy. He'll be doing those teletown halls. He'll be doing the events in key districts around the country. He's talking about, we're talking about doing a midterm convention, which typically doesn't happen. So all that to generate more energy to turn out our vote and to win, because as you were saying, Bob, if we don't, they're going to impeach him. We all know that. They're going to go after his family. They're going to go after everyone in his cabinet. They're already talking about trying to impeach Kristi Noem for enforcing the law when, Joe Biden and Mayorkas let in 8 million people. I mean, it's a go figure. So we know what's coming, and I think that'll help us motivate people to come out and vote as well.
Yeah, well, it better. Kristi Noem's only the latest. They started talking about impeaching Hegseth like 8 months ago. They're going to target everybody. Marco Rubio too. They're going to target everybody that they can. And like I said, the last 2 years are going to be nothing but chaos. So this is why it is so crucial now. Congressman, let's talk about what's going on up in Minnesota. And you can expand that to the nation, bigger picture here, because ICE attacks are up 1,000%. They're organized. They have apps online. They're talking about where the ICE operations are going. And they're attacking, they're surrounding, they're blocking in and throwing things and everything else. What can be done to protect ICE and to allow the deportation operation to go on as President Trump promised, and as 77 million Americans voted for. And that's key here. Trump didn't. He wasn't ambiguous in 2024. He said, I'm going to stage the largest deportation in American history. And people said, yes, please. 77 million of us did. So now they're trying to carry out the promise, and the obstruction is dangerous. What can be done to protect ICE other than or maybe with the Insurrection Act, sir?
Well, you enforce the law. I mean, right now you have individuals at the urging of the left disrupting federal law enforcement officials who are enforcing the law, who are doing their job. They're getting doxxed, they're getting tracked, they're getting spit on, they're getting harassed, they're getting attacked by shovels and broomsticks from these migrants, illegal migrants who did bad things up in Minnesota. I think that was last Thursday or Friday. So, I mean, this is the environment they're in. If you break the law, we have to enforce the law and prosecute people. That's the only way you send a message, is like, look, that's why we have the law, so you don't have chaos. And right now the Justice Department is doing just that. I mean, whether it's the fraud issue or the ICE issue, this Justice Department is enforcing the law. There's already like 57 people been indicted. Some have already been convicted and are waiting sentencing, sitting in jail on the fraud side.
Those are the fraudsters, yeah.
Yeah, and then on the attacking ICE side, look, the Justice Department's announcing they're looking into the mayor. They're looking into Governor Walz up there, Mayor Fry. They're going to investigate and find out if they're involved in any type of criminal activity. So that is the only way you stop it. And then, as you point out, you can also use, like other presidents have, when there's been an impediment to an interference with the enforcement of federal law, you can bring in, you can federalize forces and bring them in, like Eisenhower did way back in the 50s after the court decision on allowing children to go to school. So, I mean, all those things are there, and maybe the president indicated he might be willing to use that power. But enforcing the law is the only way you send a message and get this stuff to stop.
See, I don't disagree with you, Congressman Jordan, but they can't enforce the law when the police are being ordered by their superiors to stand down. Because when you see what happened to the officer, or the agent, I should say, was run down by Renee Good or whatever her name is. When you see, you've seen the video of them using a tow line to pull a weapons locker out of a vehicle, a police vehicle. Police are standing around. They're watching it. They're told not to do anything. So it's not just prosecute Tim Walz or Fry or anybody else that, you know, the DOJ is looking at. There has to be a physical restraining of, and a detention of, and an arrest of, and a prosecution of the radicals.
Well,
when they elevate from peaceful protest, which is protected by the First Amendment, to obstruction and impeding law enforcement operations, they have to be held accountable, or else they're going to keep on coming, right?
Right, and that's why the president is looking at using the Insurrection Act, federalizing forces and bringing them in there to do just that, because the same dynamic was in play back when the school there in Little Rock wasn't going to let kids come to school as the court had ordered. Same dynamic in play. So that's when it's appropriate, and that's when the president is certainly within his ability and legally permitted to use federal forces or federalized forces and use them to enforce the law.
Yeah, and that's extraordinarily important, and I want them to do that, and sooner rather than later. I guess my question is, and I don't know if you've talked to the president or if you've talked to any of his close advisors and so forth, but do you think he's getting any closer to that? 3 days ago, he said, I'll use it if I have to, but right now I don't see a need to. And I'm watching TV every night. I'm watching planned riots in a city, by the way, in which the governor back in 2020 said, during the George Floyd riots, literally ordered them to give up a police precinct. Let them have it. Let them have it. Let them burn it down. These are the people telling the police now not to interfere with these activities of the radical anarchists. So President Trump is going to have to do something sooner rather than later.
It sure looks that way. I mean, the president, I think he's doing a tremendous job. We just talked about the amazing first year. Obviously, he's overseas right now. He's got to deal with certain things in the international setting as well. Yeah. But I mean, I trust that this guy will make the right decision. And it seems like to both, I think, you and I, that it would be appropriate to do that. But he's got more facts and more information than I think I certainly do, about the situation there, and we'll leave the decision to him.
Yeah, no question about it. You mentioned Walz and Fry. Last thing about Minnesota here real quick. Are they going to be forced to testify? Are they coming to judiciary or oversight?
They're coming to oversight, I think, in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Maybe 2 weeks. I think that second week of February. It'll be a busy week. I think they're coming. We have the Attorney General coming in front of our committee. I think on the 11th, the Attorney General's coming in front of our committee. I think it's that same week when, or it may be the week after, but I think it's the same week when both the Attorney General Ellison and Governor Walz are slated to come in front of the Oversight Committee. I don't know. I haven't talked with Chairman Comer about this specifically, but I don't know if the Mayor Fry's been invited or not as well. But definitely Governor Walz and the Attorney General have been asked to be there for that hearing.
Well, you know, I would certainly hope Fry is brought there too. If you remember the profane thing in which right after the incident involving Renee Good, you know, he told ICE, get the F out of our city and out of Minnesota or whatever it was. And then Tim Walz, like a few days later, records that video that says, I want all Minnesotans to go out there with your cameras and record everything these people do in order to use what you catch on video as evidence as we prosecute them. Congressman, that talk about inflaming an already tense situation.
Yeah.
He literally told people to go out and insert themselves into law enforcement operations in order to be heroes, in order to help us prosecute the men out there with the badges that are trying to catch drug traffickers, human traffickers, murderers, rapists, and so on and so forth. How in the hell can that possibly be allowed to stand?
No, and it's that kind of talk. It's that kind of talk that I think sort of leads to what happened on Sunday, where you have these people just come in and disrupt a church service, or people trying to worship, trying to go to church with their families. And you have that kind of crazy scene going on. That's today's left. You know, we've talked many times, the divide in America today. I love the line that she used was Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She said, the divide in America today is normal versus crazy. That is just crazy to just look. You can go protest wherever you want on the street. That's how it works. First Amendment. But you also have the first right mentioned in the First Amendment. Of the 5 rights mentioned, the first right is your right to practice your faith, freedom of religion. And you can't go disrupt a church service like they did, for goodness sake. So I think it's some of this stuff that you're being said and being encouraged what led to that terrible situation on Sunday up in Minneapolis.
Last thing on this isn't even Minnesota, because it's Ohio and it's Washington and it's a whole lot of other states too. And you brought it up a minute ago about the fraud. The dollars that are being stolen by these, scam and fake, false daycare centers and home health care centers and transportation services and so forth, the dollars that are being taken are coming from the federal government. They're coming from my pocket by way of my federal taxes and everyone else's. I see state investigations going on into some of these things. What about federal? When do you guys as a Congress say we are going to get to the bottom of all of the Somali fraud, the tens of billions of dollars that have been allegedly, sent to Somalia and that continue to be taken from the American people in these scams?
Well, two things. One, the federal government is in fact involved, the Justice Department, in prosecuting these people. I mean, I think there's been 90 different indictments. There's been 57 some convictions already.
I think those were on the food fraud, though, right? Those are
largely Feeding Our Future, that program.
Yeah.
But there's the autism program. There's the housing. They were taking money from just about every federal agency you could imagine. Housing, Urban Development, SB, Small Business Association. They were taking Medicaid dollars from CMS, Department of Agriculture when it comes to this Feeding Our Future. I mean, there was like 6 or 7 different federal agencies. So the Justice Department's involved. They are prosecuting people and indicting people and doing their investigation. From a congressional standpoint, we had the hearing 2 weeks ago in oversight. We have a hearing starting at 10 o'clock here in Judiciary, one of our crime subcommittee. We have actually I think it's Nick Shirley, who's the guy who did some of the video up there, journalist. He's testifying in front of our committee today.
Awesome.
On Judiciary. So we're looking into this as well. But yeah, the federal government's involved, namely the Justice Department, because they're going to prosecute people. Because we've heard as high as potentially $9 billion they just were soaking the taxpayer for.
That was just over like a 2-year period. I think if you look back, because this has been going on since like 2017, 2018, there were reports of this in Columbus, happening in Columbus. So this has been going on for almost a decade that we know of. So it's probably tens of billions of dollars, a lot more than that 9. And like I said, people are looking for accountability. And here's the other question, Congressman, even if there are prosecutions, what about taking that further to denaturalization and deportations? If the people who are here running these scams are foreign nationals, can we remove their citizenship and get them out?
You can do the denaturalization, go after the citizenship issue if they committed fraud. Because this is in our committee's jurisdiction, if they committed fraud when they applied for the citizenship. So if they lied, they did some kind of fraudulent activity in the process of applying and becoming a citizen, then you could take their citizenship. You could do a denaturalization. But to take it away after they become a citizen, if let's say they did that legit and then they get involved in this fraud, you can't do that. But you got to hold them accountable, certainly, because and this is fraud, and it was the most basic kind of fraud. The Feeding Our Futures program, they said we're giving meals, we're feeding kids, we're giving meals to kids. Well, they weren't. There were no kids, there were no meals. They were just stuffing money in their pocket and writing down all kinds of fake and fraudulent figures. So that's how bad it was, and because it was so blatant, so bad, it makes you think. And I think the evidence is pointing in this direction that the people in power didn't just kind of look the other way, didn't just kind of, okay, we're just not going to pay much attention. It's almost like they assisted in it, and they helped because they were afraid of the political ramifications of this voting bloc there in Minneapolis, there in Minnesota.
100%. And I think it's more than looking the other way. I think there is a question of complicity, and that needs to be asked in all of those cases. Because again, it's one thing to get prosecutions for the individuals who did things. What about getting the money back? Is there any way of clawing back some of the billions that have been taken from the tax? I heard, I believe it was Scott Besson who said last week, Congressman, that if we wiped out the fraud, which is estimated to be between $300 billion and $600 billion a year, if we wipe that out, we wipe out our actual federal deficit.
Yeah, it'd be huge, and we need to do it. Now, the Justice Department's also just appointed someone in justice to be focused on this particular issue, which I think is, again, it's like there's going to be a focus, a sort of a Doge-like focus in Justice Department on the fraud that's taking place, not only in Minnesota, but around the country.
Good. There better be. Congressman, last one. I haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks since the vote. 17 of your Republican colleagues, including 3 from Ohio, and I had Max Miller on. He was one of them to talk about his vote with the Democrats to extend for 3 years the tax subsidies from Obamacare and from Biden's expansion during COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell they're thinking. I tried to understand what Congressman Miller was saying, and I don't know if I still do. What is your read on that and your thoughts on the 17 that sided with Hakeem Jeffries?
Well, the frustrating part, I think, for them was, and I get this, is, they felt like there should be some like phase down of this versus just the hard cut. Now, again, this was all done by Democrats. They put all this in place.
Yep.
So, and I do think all 17 of them are like you and me. We know how bad Obamacare is. I say remember when they passed Obamacare, they said, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. Like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. And they said premiums will go down. So I always point out they were 0 for 3. This thing just doesn't work because it's just more government, just running everything, demanding every policy have everything versus allowing choice and competition. So that's the overall frustration. And then I think these guys were thinking that it's instead of just a hard cut, there should be some kind of phase down. I would have been willing. I think all of us conservatives would have been willing to go with some kind of phase down to that if we put in the reforms that were going to help all Americans, help all families, help the families I get the privilege of representing in the 4th District, where we had choice and competition. I always point out subsidies, which is what this is, this expanded, enhanced Obamacare subsidy to insurance companies, and we all know what's going on over there.
Yep.
This subsidies always drive up cost. choice and competition are what bring down costs. So we need to focus on that. Now, if you could have said, here's a short-term extension of the subsidy, but that doesn't happen unless we get the choice and competition that's going to bring down costs. Well, that's something we all could have looked at, which was something I advocated for. Like, let's figure out how we can get something like that together, and we can do that. But Democrats weren't really interested in doing something that makes common sense. And this was the only alternative. So I didn't support it because I just think it's, this Obama.
Well, you know, the thing that Congressman Miller said to me is he said, we're sending this over to the Senate where Senator Moreno has a plan where he and they are going to institute the reforms that would be necessary and then send it back to us. And I said, does that mean you voted for it, hoping and knowing that it would be defeated on the other side? And he said, no, not exactly. That's why I'm still confused. Are you in communication with Senator Moreno or anybody else in the upper chamber?
I haven't talked to Senator Moreno specifically about this. I saw him the other day over at CNN of all places. And I talked to him briefly there. And I know he's working on it, but that doesn't seem to be coming together. So I don't know what's going to happen, frankly. What I do know is none of this changes the fact that we got to get back to choice and competition.
That's right.
And frankly, if there's going to be some kind of subsidy, some kind of taxpayer money going to families, it should go to families, not the insurance companies as it does now. This is something the president has been strong on, and I completely agree.
And he's been right on, and I agree as well. Congressman and Chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, have a great hearing today with Nick Shirley. That's a hero. That's a guy without a cape. That's a hero without a cape. What he did in exposing this is huge, and it's torn off the, or pulled down the curtain, I guess I should say, in a lot of other places, including right here in Ohio as well. So good luck with that, sir.
Thank
and
you.
Keep us abreast, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, sir. Jim Jordan is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, and he is also on the Oversight Committee, and he's doing a lot of really important work right now. And I'm glad they're bringing Nick Shirley in. I did not know that because he was the first, independent journalist, civilian journalist, whatever it is you want to call it, or citizen journalist to really, blow the lid off of this thing. And it's led to Mahek Cook and others investigating here in the state of Ohio as well, and finding out so much of the fraud. And like I said to the congressman, it's one thing to get prosecutions, and I hope that happens, and I hope there are long-term jail sentences. I still have my doubts because what have we seen? Has anybody been handcuffed and held accountable for any of the, myriad crimes that we have seen, during the Biden administration and the things that were done? Why is Alejandro Mayorkas free right now? Why is Jim Comey still free right now? I don't see accountability happening anywhere, but let's assume for the moment that it does. It still doesn't get us the money back. That's the reason I asked the question. How can we claw that money back that has been stolen from us? And a lot of it has already been sent to Somalia. As the Ohio state representative, Ismail Mohammed said, we're here in the United States getting more Somalis elected to office so that we can advocate for and wipe out Somalia's debt. They're sending your money from your paycheck that you're going to get this Friday to Somalia. I want it back. That's the point of all of that. All right. Wow. This has been, I think this has been a good one. Then again, I'm biased. I think it's always a good one whenever we have great guests on like Congressman Jim Jordan and new congressional candidate Kerry Coleman. And I appreciate both of those guys for coming in. Tomorrow, FYI, I just want to run this down because I've been trying to make sure you know about. See, this is where you come. This is where you come for the newsmakers, the policy makers, the policy shapers. They come here. This is a small podcast that just got launched. I think a grand total of about 5 weeks ago. It's a small podcast, but yet they come because they know we are influential. We have an influential voice. And I don't mean to make this sound in any way self-congratulatory, but the voice and the relationship that I've been able to establish through years and years and years of terrestrial radio here in the state of Ohio, it goes a long way, which is why we still get senators and cabinet members and chairmen of congressional committees and CEOs and people on this program. It's a small podcast right now that we need to make bigger and will. But they know we're here. They're coming to me. for a reason, because our voice matters. The only way this continues, the only way they have this platform, this megaphone, whatever it is you want to call it, is if we can stay online. And that means I need your support. I need you to become a subscriber to this channel on Rumble, and I need you to engage in it. I need you to bring people to it. That means bring more people with you every day when you log in to the chat room. Make sure you bring a guest with you every day or two, and become a member of Locals. Please become a member of our Locals community. See the join button on your screen right now? That will take you to it. You can become an unfiltered insider. There's going to be 2 tiers, but you can be an unfiltered insider, which is a paid supporter in which you're going to get access to things that nobody else gets, including tonight's exclusive with Brigitte Gabriel. I'll be recording with Brigitte Gabriel tonight. It will be uploaded only to Locals premium members, unfiltered insiders. And that is one of the one of the benefits you get to supporting this channel and this show. So that's what this is all about. What just popped up on the chat? B Butts just gifted 5 subscriptions to this channel. That is outstanding. B Butts, thank you for that. That's how it works. That's how you bring other people in. Lois Irene got 1. Buckeye Therese got 1. Yo Jimbo got 1. And Chrono Guru got 1. And Sharon CG got 1. That is awesome. That is awesome. Those subscriptions, a great way to bring more people in. That's what it's about. That is so cool. I'm watching people share with one another the opportunity to help grow this channel and be the impactful, influential voice that we can be, that we have been for a very long time, and it will only continue if we support one another like that. So thank you for that. Anyway, I was getting at tomorrow, Jonathan Broadbent is going to be joining us from Unwoke Investing. Jonathan has his finger in on the pulses of a lot of different issues in the state of Ohio and beyond. So we'll talk to him tomorrow at 7:30. And then at 8 o'clock tomorrow, Dr. Everett Piper comes back. Then on Friday, Patrick Wood is in with us. He is the author of 4 books on technocracy, and he is he's the founder and my co-host. He's the founder of CFFS, Citizens for Free Speech, and my co-host on The Statesman, which is our CFFS podcast. So he'll be in as well. So like I said, movers and shakers and policymakers, they come to this podcast for a reason. Chatters, thank you, everybody. It looks like it's been a very, very busy and active chat room today. My apologies for not being able to get into it. Again, those who are, highlighted on the chat, for those who don't know, those are donors and subscribers and founding members and so forth. So their comments jump out. And I love to read some of these. I like to go back even after the show ends to go back and read some of the chats, even watching the show on replay, which is nice because it's 24/7 on replay. But to all of the chatters, and I'm seeing some of these great comments here, we're just about out of time, so I won't be able to get into them very much. Leader John Thune needs to approve DOJ appointments. You are right about that. We have Republicans who complain but don't want to do anything. They're a uniparty. You know what? That might rise all the way up into the White House. That might rise all the way up into the White House, because there are a lot of threats about a lot of things being done from the White House side that haven't been done yet either, not just from the legislative side. So we've got a lot of work and a lot of study to do. All right. That is going to do it for this Wednesday episode of Strictly Speaking Unfiltered. Again, thank you, chatters. Thank you to donors. Thank you to Locals community members, especially paid subscribers, our unfiltered insiders. You guys are making all of this happen. Once again, we'll close by saying share the channel, the Rumble channel, share the YouTube channel, which is now full-fledged as well. Share the Locals community. Do everything you can, please, to let everybody know that we are here and to get them to come and subscribe and join and grow this thing to let it become the force that it inevitably will be. But it won't be without your assistance, because that's what this is all about. All right, so thank you once again to my guests. Coleman, thanks to Chairman Jim Jordan, and thanks to you for being here, especially platform members. You guys are awesome. Love you, and I want you to do 3 things as I end every show with. I want you to be well. That means health-wise. I want you to be safe, which means protection-wise, and I want you to stay free. That's the goal. That's the mission. It's not as easy as it sounds. Freedom comes with a price. Let's all be willing to pay it. We'll see you tomorrow morning on Strictly Speaking Unfiltered. Bye, everybody.